people aren't going to accept this unless they're forced. And there's that saying, don't ever let a good crisis go to waste, right? And that you can get people to accept all sorts of things during a crisis they would never accept under normal times. Well, let's look at just the last 20 years. In 2000, 9/11 happened in 2001. 45 days afterwards, the Patriot Act was passed, and the Patriot Act allowed warrantless surveillance of Americans. 2 weeks later, the Model State Emergency Health Powers Act legislation was introduced. That legislation accords extraordinary power to public health departments, state health departments, and governors in the event of a health emergency. How convenient. Literally, it was just introduced, and it was introduced 2 weeks after the Patriot Act, and it's been ratified in whole or in part by 43 states. In 2005, you had the PrEP Act. The PrEP Act allows the Secretary of Health and Human Services to declare a health emergency, and after that's done, to provide a liability shield to any company that produces what's called a medical countermeasure, like a PCR test, a mask, or okay. And then as you move forward, in 2013, they repealed something called the Smith-Mundt Act, which allowed, well, first of all, in 2012, they suspended essentially the writ of habeas corpus. You can now be held and not be able to appear before a judge and to protest wrongful arrest. You can be held indefinitely as long as you're deemed an enemy or a domestic terrorist, all sorts of things. And we've just seen how they've now just equated, they literally said that people who challenged the legitimacy of the last election or who challenged the official narrative are domestic terrorists. This is what came out of the Department of Homeland Security. So we know that's all happening. So 2012, writ of habeas corpus is suspended. In 2013, you had the prohibition on propagandizing Americans. That means that they legalized lying to the American public by the government and media. And in 2016, they set up a program to propagandize and funded it. Okay, so this is all happened in the last 20 years, and it's getting us to the place where we are now. So then they have their next crisis. They have the financial crisis in 2019, and it's like, oh, geez, September, we have got to do something because the system's going to implode and we're going to lose all power and control. And enter stage left.